if they have an open mind and want to discuss the literature, I'm open. I'm open to changing my mind if I can see empirical studies that support that. Just like I'm open to changing my mind to show that environmental variables are important in early childhood education with respect to intelligence. Lots of studies have tried. A few studies show some effect. All of those studies where you look over time show the effect fades away. So there are no lasting studies. If environment was really important, I think we would have seen it in these studies. They're good studies. They're well-designed studies carried out by good researchers. But they failed to find it. So when Jensen said in 1969, we've tried compensatory education and it has failed with respect to boosting IQ, I'm not aware of any studies since that would contradict that conclusion. There are good reasons, by the way, I want to add, there are good reasons to support early childhood education. I support it as a social policy, but not because it raises IQ. It does other good things. And in fact, compensatory education is now called early childhood education rather than compensatory education, kind of an acknowledgement that the compensatory part really didn't work.
Mm-hmm. What I was asking was whether there are other important and incorrect misconceptions that you think are worth dispelling other than the one that I mentioned.
Well, there is a book that deals with 35 common myths about intelligence. It's called In the Know, Debunking 35 Myths About Human Intelligence. The author is Russell Warne, Warne. And it's a terrific book. It deals with what we've been talking about, plus all these other myths. And he just goes through and debunks all of them. And I have to be careful to emphasize that's not to say there's no legitimate criticism of intelligence research. There's plenty. And when the criticism comes in the form that can be tested, people test it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all empirical questions. Now, philosophically, can animals be as intelligent as people? Is artificial intelligence the same as human intelligence? That's a different level of question. I don't know how to advise people working on general artificial intelligence because I don't know enough about what they do, how they write the algorithms. I've used CPT chat. I find it, like everybody else, it's very intriguing. Doesn't strike me that it's intelligent, though, in the same way, a 5-year-old is intelligent. So these are all questions. As we get more data, more sophisticated data, we get more sophisticated questions. More sophisticated questions lead to more sophisticated technologies to answer those questions. Intelligence research is like every other branch of science. It's driven by measurement. And over time, you get better and better measurement. And that really what's happening in modern intelligence research. Where we are in 2023 is not where we were in 1973 or 1983 or 1993. The world has moved on. And I'm happy to say intelligence research has moved on. It's very vibrant. The people doing it are extremely smart and well-educated people. They're younger people coming up with training in neuroscience, training in neuroimaging, training in mathematical analysis of these very complex data sets, things that I could only imagine barely when I was in graduate school. So the whole enterprise has changed. The first study that I did that I mentioned in 1988 with neuroimaging had a sample size of 8, not 80, 8. Well, by today's standard, this is absurd. Now, it turns out what we found with those 8 people, this brain efficiency, that's been studied now, for 30 years, and there's something interesting there. But the science has evolved dramatically. So I barely can keep up with it. I write these books, and when I just did the second edition of the Neuroscience of Intelligence, I realized I had reached my limit in terms of being able to explain things like polygenic scores and some of these connectivity brain imaging analyses. Papers are very complex, and problems are complex. And the history of science is, as you get deeper and deeper into problems, they get more complex, not less complex. So I'm delighted to see all this.